Thank you so much. Welcome to all our participants and thank you to our distinguished speakers. I am Ramesh from STEM for All Makerspace together with William, also from STEM for All Makerspace, and we are here to bring you another very exciting topic in our series of webinars relating to STEM education. All right. So, a quick introduction to STEM for All Makerspace. Now, as the name indicates, it's STEM and it is encompassing for all, meaning all ages and all disciplines. And we have a physical center at Daman Mall, Subang Jaya. And our whole objective is actually to bring some excitement, interactive learning uh, of STEM-based education, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, due to this lockdown, we are also not being able to do any programs, so we decided that we would like to engage you in our interactive series of talks by the industry experts, right? And here today we have another very interesting topic, and the topic for today is future of engines. In fact, this is a series, and I must thank the Captain Kannan, who is a very passionate advocate of STEM and also education in whole. And he is the one who said that he will be able to arrange some series of talks by experts in the industry. So thanks to Captain Kannan, we had the first speaker to talk about air traffic control. That's Mr. Naga. We had a speaker to talk about environment. That was just about a week ago. That was by Dr. Kogila. All right. And Captain Kannan has told me that he's got a few more very exciting speakers to speak in the month of August. So this is what we are doing. We really want to engage parents, in this case, students, as well as teachers, to bring them some insightful experiences and knowledge shared by the industry expert, right? So let me quickly introduce to you our moderator for the session, who will then introduce our speaker. Our moderator for the session, today's session, is Dr. Srita Raju, and he's a lecturer with UTM, and also he's a director of a center for carbon emission control,
Center for Low Carbon Transport.
low carbon transport.
Yeah.
Yes, a very interesting research center based, perhaps Dr. Srita will also tell about their initiatives. So the topic today is very much relating to the initiatives of the center, and it's about the future of engines, right? So without a further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Srita to moderate this session.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh, and welcome to everyone in the session today. Good afternoon. So today we're gonna have a very exciting session talking about future of engines. And as what Mr. Ramesh has mentioned, and I'm Sridhar Raju, and the speaker today, Dr. Hasbullah. We both are from University Technology Malaysia. We both belongs to a research center called UTM Center for Low Carbon Transport. You can see here, both of us are wearing the same shirt. Yeah. And we work a lot with engines and try to make engines cleaner, more environment friendly, and not a demon like what people are talking about. And the talk that Hasbullah going to give today will touch base on that, but a lot got to do with invoking your interest in the area of engine, so we all don't forget and we all be excited about this area. But before that, let me introduce a bit about Dr. Hasbullah. Dr. Hasbullah Padzillah, as mentioned, is a lecturer at UTM, University Technology Malaysia. He did his PhD from Imperial College London. And the interesting part of that is he's the youngest Malaysian to get his PhD at the age of 25. It's a feat, and it's very, very, what do you call it, a big achievement. And his research area, a lot got to do with turbo machinery, but related to engines. And one of the most, what you say, important thing about Dr. Hasbullah is a famous YouTuber. He has his own YouTube channel, Dr. Hasbullah Lectures, also Hasbullah Shara, right? Hasbullah Shara. And he talks a lot about engines, very detailed technology of the engines, a lot of stuff. He got a massive amount of followers. And I think it's a privilege for all of you today in this session to hear from him directly to talk about engine, which is his passion, also my passion, hopefully your passion after this. So without further ado, Hasbullah, please, your seat.
Thank you, Dr. Srita. Let me share my screen here.
Yeah. Before that, I would like to request that anyone who's not talking, please mute your mic. And if you have any question, please put the question in the chat box and I will try to pick up the question and we'll try to answer at the end. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you again, Dr. Srita, for the kind introduction. I have a special story about myself to inspire some of you. But before that, before we get to that story, I would like to ask you a simple question, but perhaps a very important question. So, have you ever wondered how a vehicle moves? So it doesn't matter what kind of vehicle. It could be land transportation, it could be sea transportation or air transportation. So it doesn't matter whether it's a car, a motorcycle, an aircraft or ship. So how does it move basically? And what do we know from the user point of view is that we put in the fuel, right? We go to the petrol pump, we put in either petrol or diesel, doesn't matter, RON 95, RON 97, or if we just get our salary, then RON 100, then off we go. The vehicle just moves. So something must happen in between we put the fuel and the vehicle moving. And of course, there is something in between, which is called an engine, right? And an engine is a very special device, a very fascinating device in that I look at it as in a similar way as I look at human heart, right? Human heart is always beating, and if it stops beating, then we don't operate anymore. Same thing happens with an engine. If the engine is not turned on, then the vehicle cannot move, right? It's only that when the engine is operational, then we can move the vehicle, right? So essentially what an engine is, it is a device that convert heat from fuel to work. So what does heat has anything to do with it? Now, the only way that we can extract energy from the fuel is by burning it. Is that correct? If we burn the fuel, then it's going to generate heat from all the fire that sparks. And now, take that heat and convert it into work. Work is, you can take a look at work as something that moves, right? So how do we convert something that's hot into something that moves, right? So to convert work to heat is very simple. Now, if you can follow me, right? Take both of your hands, right? And then rub it together, okay? Just rub it together, okay? And at some point, you're gonna feel heat generated between your hand, okay? So that is basically you converting work, which is the movement of your hand, into the heat that you feel, right? Now, now that was easy, right? But if I ask you to use that heat you just generated now and convert it back into the work, convert the heat into the movement of your hand, now it's not very easy, right? So converting heat to work is always very challenging. And that is why an engine is very important device. It's a very fascinating device because it performs this conversion from heat to work all the time. Right? And a little bit of background of how a typical engine works. And you can also imagine an engine as a breathing device, okay? An engine inhales air, right? So like us, we inhale air. And inside the engine, the air is mixed with the fuel. We then burn that fuel, and then the power generated from the burning process of that fuel is used to move the vehicle, right? And now the gas that has been burned and then expelled to the environment through your exhaust. That is how a typical engine works. Now, like I told you before, an engine is a very fascinating device, and I believe Dr. Srita and I, we are very passionate about engine. We want to make it better, right? And if you have the same question in our head, like how a vehicle moves, how can an engine convert fuel to work? So that means you like the engine. And if you like an engine, if you like the engine, that device, if you like it, what would you like to do in the future? Okay, so these are some of the things that you can do in the future once you have completed school, once you have completed universities. This is something that you can do, right? So first of all, what you can be is you can be an engine designer. So what does an engine designer do? Engine designer thinks about how to make an engine better, how to make an engine cleaner in such a way that it doesn't burn so much fuel, and how to make it faster. Now, when we are talking about faster, right, it's quite a complicated statement because you cannot compare a 1 liter engine and a 4 liter engine. Of course, the 4 liter engine is faster. Okay, so how do you create a 1 liter engine that is faster or as fast as this 4 liter engine? Now, that is the challenging part. Okay, and you could also be learning how to repair an engine. Now, designing an engine and repairing an engine is a completely different skill set. Now, I'm proud to say that I'm an engineer and I'm a lecturer, and I also have a PhD in mechanical engineering. But even though I'm not proud to say this, if my car broke down, I cannot fix it. Okay? I have to send it to the workshop so the people that are expert in fixing the car, in repairing the engine, can do their job. So it is a completely different skill set. I might know what is wrong with my engine, but to fix it, you need a proper tool, you need a proper knowledge to do it. So you can be that as well. You can be the person who knows how to repair an engine. The next one, if you feel like the car that exists on the road nowadays is not as exciting as you might want it to be, you could be a vehicle designer, right? Be a car designer and design the whole car. Make it more aerodynamic, make it more pretty, okay? Make it from a material that won't harm our environment. Excuse me. So that is something you can do as well. Next, we go bigger. You can be the one to improve our road network. Now, imagine when you drive a car or when your parents drive a car and then they got on a road, right? At that point, you are no longer responsible only for your own safety. You are basically responsible for the whole road network safety. If something happens to your vehicle, if it breaks down, then the whole road is going to have traffic jam. Okay, whatever your decision is going to implicate some things to that road network. So road network is a very important area in the automotive engineering, right? And now we are talking about artificial intelligence, road to vehicle communication. So people are still studying this. Now imagine we keep seeing this food rider, right? Sometimes they just don't obey the traffic light, right? Traffic light is red, still go, right? Now imagine if a vehicle can talk to traffic light. So whenever it's red, no matter what you do, your vehicle will not move. Okay, so that's one area to study. And of course, it has to improve safety. With all the electronic intervention and everything, it could go both ways. It could improve safety or it could make it worse. So this is a very intricate area where we need experts in order to improve our road network. Or next, you could be a policymaker in transport and creating sustainable transportation for Malaysia. Now, this has something to do with the overall way that we look at our transportation system. I will go further a little bit about this a little bit further later, right? Now, talking about this, coming back to the introduction, who am I? And I hope that by sharing this story, if you guys in school, you could be looking at this and try to find some similarity between us, because I was from school as well. Okay, I did all the exams that you are doing now. So it's not that I'm here because I'm better than you. It's just that I get there first. Okay, your time comes later. So use whatever that is older, whoever that is older than you, use them as an inspiration. Use them as an example of what to do or what not to do. It's your choice. So who am I? I do research on engines, as Dr. Srita mentioned earlier, particularly on turbochargers, because turbocharger is now a very important technology to make our engine cleaner. And how do I get here, right? And I furthered my first degree in UTM, degree in mechanical engineering. And after that, I went to Imperial College London to get my PhD also in mechanical engineering. Now, when we learn things during our degree and also during our PhD, so we are basically have to study a lot and understanding a lot about the industry. So when we do this, we have this ample knowledge about how things work, and there is something that we can do in order to deliver that knowledge back into society. So what I do now is I teach mechanical engineering in UTM, and my favorite subject there is turbo machinery and also fluid mechanics. So that's what I teach. And if you look at this photo, this is the photo of me on an aircraft simulator. This is developed by our colleague in aero department. And we do a lot of fun stuff in UTM. We develop things and we tested it for the use of industry. Next, I also write article about my research. I do research on engines. And of course, we as a lecturer, we publish in international journals, in high-ranking journals. But for local publication, I also contribute to newspaper articles. So we can develop the sense of understanding with everybody that what is happening inside an automotive industry. What is the problem with the current automotive industry? Because people need to know. That's why we do campaigns. That's why we do this. We do this webinar. That's why you are here. You want to know what is happening. And also I educate Malaysians on YouTube. When we do research, we study a lot, we read a lot. So we have this spillover of information that is very beneficial to the community at large. And I created this channel, Hasbullah Syarah, with the aim of just sharing what I like. But eventually people like it, and the channel started getting traction. So I keep publishing and publishing videos here. Okay, and I believe this is what you came for, which is the future of engines. Where is our engine? Where is the engine technology heading at the moment? But who says that it has to have a future at all? Why can't it stay the same? It is because we have problems with our current engine. Okay, what are the problems that we are facing now? First of all, we are using too much fuel for too little power. Okay, now imagine that we are converting heat to work. Because it is so difficult to convert all of the heat into work, there's only a certain percentage of heat that is able to be converted into work. Now, what do you think the percentage is? Is it 90% efficient? Is it 80% efficient? Okay. And the answer to that might be shocking to some of you. All right. Our engine is about 25% efficient, meaning that if you spend 2 ringgit per liter of fuel that you buy in the petrol station, only about 40 cents is used to actually move the vehicle. The rest of your money goes to waste in terms of heat waste, in terms of overcoming drag, in terms of overcoming resistance. So this is a problem for our current engine. We are just simply using too much fuel. And the problem with using too much fuel, of course, it affects our expenditure, right? We may spend more and we could actually get more with our money. But the other problem is that it's also causing pollution. And pollution does two things. First, it harms the environment. And the second thing is that it harms our health, okay? Now, we've all been to Jerebu, right? And when it's got very thick, we can actually smell the smoke. And it is a very uncomfortable feeling. My mother is asthmatic, so every time there's a Jerebu, then we are prepared to take her to the hospital. Even people who does not have asthma could develop this problem, right? And this problem has no sign of slowing down simply because our population is growing and growing. I remember when I was 9 years old, darjah 3, I heard that our population is about 28 million or 30 million. Now we are at 35 million people, right? And our government is saying that we could afford until 70 million people, which means that the population of Malaysia and population of the world in general is always increasing. And with the increasing population, the demand for transport is going to be increasing as well. Now, of course, we can keep talking about the problems and we can feel depressed about it. But believe me, in any problem, there is an opportunity. And this opportunity is for you to grab. And the opportunity comes as the form of solutions to the problem that I said just now. Okay, what can we do about those problems? First, we can simply design better engines. It could be a highly efficient turbocharged engine. It could be electric engine like Tesla is doing, right? And these engines is just going to get better and better. So that is your opportunity. The next one is we can also develop new battery technology. For example, now we are looking at lithium-ion battery. But what happens if the material that is used to make that battery finally finish? Where does the new battery comes from then, right? What do we do with our current battery when it's end of the life? Do we recycle it? How do we recycle it? Can we make it better, right? And that's another solution that you can look into. And then we can also develop a new fuel, artificial fuel or hybrid fuel that emits less pollution. And why do I say that this is for massive vehicle? Now, for a vehicle that is on the ground, right, motorcycle or cars, it's okay to have battery because battery is huge and it is very heavy. Now, imagine for an aircraft, right? Aircraft has to fly and it takes a lot of energy to fly. So you will need to put a bigger battery on the aircraft. Bigger battery means heavier battery, right? And when the battery is heavier, you need even more power, right? Then you put in bigger battery and then it's going to get heavier. Now the problem doesn't end, okay? So the solution for massive vehicles such as aircraft is or could be the new fuel that emits less pollution. You cannot simply use battery there unless there's a new battery technology. The next one is a new transportation system. Now, talking about car ownership here, this is just an example. Do you know that some people in KL, they don't own a car anymore? When they want to go to work, they simply call Grab. Grab sends them, they pay to Grab, no need to pay for parking because they don't have car. And when they get back from work, just call a Grab one more time. What happens if the car is fully autonomous? It is fully automatic. We might not even have to buy a car anymore. Every time we want a car, simply book it on our app. 5 minutes later, the car comes. It is ours for 1 day or 2 days, no matter how long you want to use it. And then when you are done, leave the car anywhere and it goes back to its place or it goes to someone else, right? So that's a new way of thinking. And if we are at that stage, we may not have to own a car anymore. We just have to pay probably monthly subscription fees to this company that operate this car. That could be interesting, right? And that's exactly my point, because these are areas for you to explore in automotive industry. These are opportunities for you. Okay, perhaps these are a few more important slides that I want to share with you today. Usually when I see a presentation, they present about the problem, present about the solution, but they don't tell you what can you do now. What can you do now right after this presentation? What can you do to prepare yourself to get into the automotive industry? Right now, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. Right, first is you need to be strong in math and hard sciences. Math includes math and also at math. I know it's not easy, right? But this is necessary. And also hard sciences, physics, chemistry, and biology. And because we are talking about automotive now, I would say physics is the most important, because you need physics to, let's say, to calculate forces, and you want to calculate combustion of the fuel, you might need chemistry on this, and also to calculate energy, you also need physics, right? So brush up your physics. If you are in primary school, brush up your science. It's going to be very important for you in the future. And also about what and how to calculate, right? In the future or even now, how to calculate is not so difficult anymore. You have a formula, you plug it into a computer will calculate it for you. But the what to calculate is a more difficult question than how to calculate. You need to know what to calculate, and you can only know this if you have a very strong background in math and hard sciences. Next one, what you could do is you learn about engineering online. Right? You cannot go to university now, you're still in school. You may not have time to go look for a lecturer, for a private tutor on engineering. It may not be possible. But everything now is on YouTube, and videos are the easiest way to learn anything. Okay, look for engineering channels, such as Engineering Explained, and whatever you like, you can look about it on the internet. Even documentaries are there on YouTube. If you want to know how cars are made, it's there on YouTube as well. Next is you can survey good engineering colleges around the world. Ask ask anybody that you know that went, for example, to a good university and how they apply into it. So just survey so that when it is time for you to apply for it, you know exactly what to do. Even you can start taking online courses from these universities. Now, I am a lecturer, but even then, I sometimes learn math in the YouTube, okay? Because these professors are so good at explaining things, I learn a lot from them. Now, if you are thinking overseas, look at the best universities there is in the world. MIT, Stanford, Cambridge, Imperial College London. These are very good universities to get into to learn engineering. And if you're talking local, still, we have a lot of good engineering college here in Malaysia. USM, UTM, basically all the 5 research university in Malaysia, these are very good in engineering. So start surveying them. What are the qualifications that you need? What can you do to help your application later? And also, prepare yourselves to be a thinker, not operator. What do I mean by this? Okay. For example, when you look at car assembly, right, some parts needs to be welded. Okay, it needs to be welded together. Now, instead of just accept it, ask everything. Ask, why do you need to weld it? Can you just glue it using high performance glue? Or can you just eliminate welding by creating just one big component? So ask everything. If you think about, if you have this operator mindset, it means that if the instruction says weld, you must weld. So what happens if robot takes over the job? Right? This welder robot takes the job, then what do you do next? Now you are in trouble, right? So always prepare to be a thinker and ask why. Ask everything, okay? Now, I think we are about the end of my discussion, of my presentation. And as a conclusion, I have 3 things that, if these are the things, the only things that you want to take away from this presentation, please let it be these 3 things. First is future-proof yourselves. Okay, there's nothing wrong about admiring today's technology, but remember, by the time you learn it, 4 years later, when you finally finish learning it, the technology is going to be old. There's going to be a new technology that will replace this technology. So future-proof yourself and read and watch. Next is study what excites you. Okay. Now, it's not very difficult, at least for me, to find what excites me. Now, ask yourself, what do you do when you procrastinate? Okay, when you don't want to do anything, what do you do? For me, late at night, I like to play F1 game, right? That's a race car game, okay? And I know that F1 excites me a lot. It's a very competitive sport and arguably the most competitive sport in the world. So when Formula One excites me, what do? I study about the car. I study about what makes the car so fast, what makes the racing so difficult. Okay, what what about aerodynamics? Why do F1 cars need aerodynamic? Why can it corner so fast? Okay, so study that, because if you study what you love, then it's basically not studying anymore. You're just playing all the time. Okay, and finally, whatever you do, always work towards the betterment of mankind. The betterment of mankind. So it's not, uh, sometimes when you work on something that you believe in, people don't always understand it. But if you know it in your heart that whatever you do is going to help someone, it's going to make someone's life better, it's going to make someone's health better, then just work towards it. There's no need to justify yourself to others. Okay, and I believe that is all from me. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Hasbullah. Thank you very much for very nice talk. So we can open for question. There is a question on the chat asking about Polytechnic, because you gave suggestion about where to study. Most of them are universities. How about polytechnics? What are your opinions on someone who wants to study in polytechnic?
Okay, thank you for the question. This is from Caroline, right?
Yes, Carolyn G.
Yeah. Thank you, Caroline. And I've mentioned that there are a few paths that you can take. Right? You can be engine designer, and you can also be someone that fix the engine. Okay, these are the mechanics that you see in the workshop, and I told you before that offers these two requires completely different skill set. Right? I may know how to design an engine. I may know theoretically how to make an engine better, but if my car broke down, I take it to the workshop. I don't even attempt to fix it because I just do not know. All right. So if you are the person who likes to be able to fix things, right? When you see broken fan in your house, you take it apart, assemble it together, see if it works or not. If just simply a light turn off, you go to the store, buy a new light and fix it, then you might want to consider Polytechnic, because Polytechnic is the place where they polish you, they teach you the skills to fix things. Okay? So that will be my answer.
Okay, Hasbullah, if I can add a bit on top of what you have just said. So Polytechnic is part of what we call the TVET, right? Technical Vocational Education Training. It's as what Dr. Hasbullah has mentioned, it's a different skill set. So you have to ask yourself. So if you are a practical person, love to deal with things, love to get your hands dirty, then Polytechnic will give you a better exposure, better value for your time. So you learn how to repair stuff, how to play with things, how to deal with objects engineering wise. Whereas university offers you more theoretical understanding, and if you are going towards, well, that's what Hasbullah said, towards design of an engine. You want to design an F1 engine, let's say, oh, I see F1 engine is very good, I want to design an F1 engine. Then you have to go to the university to learn how to design an F1 engine. But if you look at F1 race, you are very interested about these people who are in the pit, changing wheels, try to repair the engine, and that is a different skill set as what Hasbullah said. Polytechnic probably will provide for you. So it's a different skill set that you have to ask yourself which one you have passion for, and you go for it. There are always options. Right? Thanks.
That's correct. Thank you, Srita.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more question? If you know, I can ask. I can help you guys to ask Dr. Hasbullah some question.
Yes.
Okay, Hasbullah, you probably know this very well, right? We hear a lot about internal combustion engine will be banned, and everyone in the future going to be driving electric. This is what everyone here. Okay, you and I are working on engine, so probably we know the inside of stuff. But for a public out there, they read news and they see media, social media almost entirely talks negatively about engine. But what is your opinion about whether we will be really driving engine? Let's say the kids are in this forum, let's say 10 years from now, they start buying car. In 10 years from now, will their first choice of car, electric car or car with an engine, you think?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Srita. That's a very tough question, but I believe if we work in the industry, we have a pretty good grasp on what is happening. Okay, electric vehicle is kind of alternative to the internal combustion engine that we have right now. Okay, and electric car is very efficient. When I say that engine is about 25 to 30% efficiency, electric car can give you 90% efficiency. However, it depends on how do you get the electricity from. Okay, you own an electric car, you have a battery pack. You need to charge that battery pack. Okay, and when you get home, you plug in the power for your car. You need to think about where the power comes from. In Europe or in France, for example, where the power comes 90% from clean energy. They use nuclear, so very little emission. Then it would be logical to convert completely into electric vehicle. For Malaysia, particularly, we are still in the mix, right? Some of our energy sources are clean, most are clean. So I would say in the near future means about 10 to 15 years, okay? We will be having a mix of internal combustion engine and electric vehicle. However, the internal combustion engine is going to be very efficient. Probably now we are at 30. I will be happy if we will be at 50 soon. Okay, and this mix between electric vehicle and also internal combustion engine will depend on our electricity grid. If our grid can sustain the requirement for electricity and can produce it in a sustainable way, then the mix for electric vehicles should be higher. Perhaps 70% electric, 30% internal combustion engine. But at our current stage, I would say internal combustion engine is still relevant, right? But moving forward, it has to be extremely efficient. And if you notice the trend now, right, it's very obvious. Previously about Honda, big cars like Honda Accord and also Honda CR-V. These are full-size sedan and full-size SUV. These guys are now using only 1.5 liter engine with turbocharger. Previously, you need 2.5 liter engine to power this cars, right? And then new cars such as Nissan Almera and also Produa Ativa, they use 1 liter engine with turbocharger. Now, previously, it was unthinkable to have a 1 liter engine. Kan? 1 liter engine previously can drive Produa kancil je. Kan? Now, even a full-size sedan pun 1 liter can power it. So, back to you, Srita.
Okay, thank you. So
I have a question.
yeah. Go ahead.
Dr. Hasbullah, I just wondered the possibility of, electric engines are well and good, but they leave a footprint, quite a dark footprint because of the batteries and then the discardation of the batteries. That's a huge problem. What about the consideration for hydrogen-powered cars? Is there a future in those cars? Using this form of what do you call it, hydrogen?
Yeah, thank you for your question. It's very interesting. Hydrogen is also I would say, one of the solution. However, compared to the development of electric vehicle, hydrogen is, I would say, still at research level. Okay, the problem with hydrogen now, because it is efficient, while it is efficient, it involves too much energy transfer. Okay, and each time you transfer the energy, there will be some inefficiencies. And the problem with new technology is that it's expensive. Okay, so but if it's better, then sooner or later market will accept it. But at the moment, I think Toyota have experimented with this and even sell it, right? Hydrogen powered car. And of course, when you have these new types of fuel, hydrogen fuel, you're going to need to supply it to fuel pump, fuel station, right? They're going to need to refuel this. So these are the things, I would say, pros and cons. So every technology has its pros and cons. So we're going to have to choose the technology with the cons that we can live with. Yeah, that would be my take on that.
Thank you, Dr. Hasbullah. If you don't mind, can I add a bit on that?
Go ahead.
So the Toyota that you mentioned is Toyota Mirai.
Toyota Mirai, that's right.
Toyota Mirai, and they consider the world #1 production-based hydrogen engine. But Toyota is very good in all these things. Like, for instance, the hybrid car that we have now, Toyota is the first one actually put hybrid on the road. And after 10 years, everyone else started to pick up. Even a lot of the big companies buy the technology from Toyota and then expand on it. And same thing might happen with hydrogen. But as what Dr. Hasbullah have said, nothing is 100% winning. There's always pro and con. And what we believe from our analysis, hydrogen probably will be very good for heavy duty. So you can replace diesel. But for passenger car, I would say hybrid and also electric vehicle will be the winning combination. So if you take 10, 20 years from now, probably all of us will be making a choice of buying a efficient, small, turbo engine, probably hybrid, or the one with slightly more money, buy electric. Something like that.
Yeah, I got a question on the chat box here.
Yeah.
Captain Kana asking, is hydrogen vehicle safe? Okay, if I can offer my insight on this. Of course, hydrogen is one of the most volatile gas in the world. It can easily trigger fire. But of course, to put a tank in a vehicle, it's got to be tested again and again for years, for millions of miles, and until it's proven to be safe, and then only can be used in a vehicle. And I believe in the history of Mirai, Toyota Mirai, there's never been any accident involving explosion of hydrogen tank so far, and I hope to see that trend carry on.
I think a few years ago, I can't remember, my memory is very weak. There was one American vehicle that kept crashing and exploding. Was it Ford or Chrysler? I cannot remember. So the containment of the fuel, yes, is very important. On that note, Dr. Hasbullah, one more question. What about in terms of context of Malaysia? I do remember long time ago when I went, I think under the Palm Oil Research Center. I went downstairs in the basement, and they had the Mercedes Benz, and that Mercedes Benz was powered by palm oil. Where is that research going? Is it going ahead? Is it moving along, or is it just stagnant?
At the moment, I believe the research is still well ongoing. However, to take it into market, I'm sure finance would be one of their problem. But at the moment, we haven't seen anything that is ready to be sold yet. So I would say very much in the development, very much in the research stage. And Dr. Sita, do you have anything to add on this?
For the palm oil.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. I think as what Dr. Hasbullah said is definitely ongoing, but I am not very confident that we will come to a point of 100% palm oil biofuel based engine. Because the issue with palm oil is when you mix with biofuel, the engine tend to have reliability problem because the friction changes. So what I know is some of the big manufacturers, especially the European manufacturer, made a complaint that when their cars in Malaysia running on a palm oil based biofuel mix, their engine tend to have more reliability problem. And that is the reason why the percentage of palm oil cannot be increased so drastically. Now we are running at 10%, if I'm not mistaken, 10% biofuel, only for diesel, not for gasoline. But to increase that, it not only R&D. R&D is ongoing, but it involves a lot politics, costs, like what the Hasbullah said, and also getting all these engine manufacturers on board to agree that their engine can take it.
If I can just give a little bit of
Yeah.
view on this, I was quite privy to this. My former boss, Tan Sri Augustine Ong, was the chairperson of MPOB then, and this research was being done then. I remember him saying that he can actually use crude palm oil to run the engines. They ran the experiments extensively. I think that time they had 4 hub buses, and so this was way 30 years back. I must say that it is quite advanced.
Yeah.
So they do have the technology, but as mentioned by both Dr. Srikar and Hasbullah, maybe one of it is that the reliability of it. But actually, the main reason why they did not pursue or not pursuing it so aggressively is the economics of it. The economics of it is that you can sell the crude palm oil 10 times more higher than the
Correct.
uh, fuel,
Yes.
petrol, the crude oil palm, I mean the crude petroleum.
Yeah,
So
the economics.
the economics of it doesn't, allow us or doesn't encourage this to grow so much. So there is a very interesting, what do you call, stint that I had with Tan Sri Augustine Ong when he was heading MPOB when they did the research then.
And also in the US, they tend to use another mixture is ethanol. Can you just is that bio based as well? Ethanol
Has,
husk is it?
Hasbullah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, they were using this mixture as well. However, it doesn't translate into it doesn't. I'm not sure why is it not in Malaysia. Okay, perhaps again it goes back to the economics.
Yeah.
But really, in my experience as well, I've never been using this fuel mixture. I believe we have that in Indonesia, right? Zita, if you know.
Yeah, so the biofuel is all depend on the feedstock that you get. And for Malaysia, the feedstock, I would say palm is the most widely used. And some of them use Jatropha. I think Indonesia, they have Jatropha as the feedstock as as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the ethanol is sugar based. So they actually use sugar, and Brazil is the biggest. But it always goes back to what Mr. Ramesh is saying. If that ethanol usage become widespread, then it's going to affect food chain, because sugar is part of the food chain. They won't allow that to happen. So that is the reason why ethanol mixture out of sugar cane probably will not kick off unless there's
So,
another feedstock.
so again, it's economics, yes.
Yeah, it's all economics. Yes.
Yes.
And I believe the same thing happens with electric vehicle as well. To get a new technology into the market, to convince the public is not easy, right? I think electric vehicle got lucky because they have Elon Musk, right? Without Elon Musk,
You're right.
without Elon Musk, I'm not sure where's that technology now, right? And even then, Tesla hasn't even made a profit yet. They are surviving on investors' money. Okay, so it's always difficult, and it's going to take someone who has that desire, that someone has got to be a little bit crazy to pursue this. Yeah.
Captain Kannan has got a question posed in the chat. He
Yeah.
says, can explain some difference between diesel and petrol engine?
Okay, a little bit from me, and if you want to, if you have some points to add, carry on, Srita.
No worries. No, you go ahead.
Diesel, diesel and petrol engine. Actually, I just made a video about this yesterday. Diesel is much more difficult to burn than petrol, right? And some people say that it might be a disadvantage to diesel, but as an engine researcher, I would say that is actually an advantage to the diesel engine. It means that because it is not easily burned, you can actually push it harder. You can compress it harder, put it under a lot more pressure, put it under a lot more temperature before it burns. That is why for diesel engine, you do not need a spark plug. For petrol engine, you need a spark plug because if you push it hard, it could spontaneously combust. So you need a mechanism to combust it at a specific timing. And that is where a spark plug comes in. Right? Now, because diesel is so much more difficult to combust, you could compress it further, meaning that your compression ratio of the engine could be a little bit higher for diesel. When compression ratio is higher, it gives more efficiency to that engine. So in general, diesel engine has a higher efficiency than a petrol engine, simply because diesel is more resistant to combustion.
I have a sharing here on the diesel engine. In the 80s, I remember there were a few early adopters of the diesel engine in saloon cars. And I remember my uncle, he had a brand new Mercedes. I don't know what model it was, but it was a diesel. So it didn't sound as sexy as the other cars because the diesel engine has a clacking kind of sound. But what was most funny for me was it was a very expensive Mercedes diesel model, but when you go to the petrol station, he has to line up behind all the trucks to fill up the petrol. So that was a funny point. But of course now they have diesel pumps at the car area, but he was always lining up behind all the big lorries and the trucks. So I found it quite amusing. He didn't find it amusing though.
I can imagine the awkwardness that time.
Yeah, awkward.
Any more question? Probably from the students who are in the group. Anyone
Do we have any question from the YouTube live?
YouTube live? I'm not sure.
We didn't really promote YouTube live, so
okay.
it's most of them are here. But someone commented, they said good job on the comments.
Okay. So nice to hear that. So there is some. We normally have a lot of people who are very appreciative. Especially teachers and parents. they're very appreciative for what they hear from the speakers. Because in most cases, it is knowing for the first time or learning something new for the first time, and that's very, very encouraging, you know. So we do have that. I don't see any more questions in the chat. Maybe we'll just ask if anybody else who's listening, if you've got any other questions. If no, then maybe I could ask Dr. Hasbullah. I think you have given a very good conclusion. I like the concluding part that you mentioned, you know, that the three takeaways that you would like the listeners to understand or to appreciate is one is to future proof. We totally agree with you on this, and in fact, part of our STEM education is 21st century skills. You know, so that is, I think, very much in line with what you have also mentioned, future proof. Study whatever excites you, and that's also something that we offer at our STEM for All Makerspace, because we've got so many different programs, and it's something to do with drones, to crafts, to 3D printing, to communication skills. So, you know, many kids are not sure what they want to, so we believe that they should actually have inclination, had an interest at a very early stage. And I think you have mentioned that very clearly. Study what excites you. So I think what is lacking probably is the exposure. Many students do not know what they like yet. So that's very sad. Why? Because not much of exposure. So we hope that through sessions like this, they have been inspired by something that you have said, you know, and maybe that will trigger off their interest. And the final part, you say betterment of mankind. I think that's very, very relevant, you know, that whatever we do, we hope that it will help to improve the qualities of our life, okay, and lifestyle. So that is a very wonderful conclusion that you have made, right? Is there anything else, Dr. Hasbullah, you like to add? One last piece of advice or information, or maybe something that we can do together with you to our STEM for All Makerspace? You like to suggest something?
Okay, yeah, about the final conclusion, right? I've seen so many projects that youngsters now are doing. Most of it, I don't even understand it, right? But looking at the big picture, as long as that project or whatever they do does not cause harm to people, and it's something that they want to do that contribute to the betterment of mankind, then I would say, who am I to say they are correct or wrong, right? So if you are one of those guys, just go ahead, pursue your passion, and uh, regardless of what people are saying, as long as you believe that is the correct thing to do, right? And as for the organizer, I really appreciate this opportunity, and I can see what you do is very important, especially during this PKPD thing, and we don't even know how long we are going to be staying inside. So might as well do something that could make ourselves better when we can go out again, right? I always encourage my viewers to learn something. Just learn anything so you can come out ahead when things go back to normal, right? And for the organizers, then I would say now I think you are doing a good job. And last thing to do is just to promote like crazy,
Yes,
right? So people get to know you and join this session.
very much. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
That perhaps at a certain stage we can explore how we can do joint YouTubes together. Maybe we can invite you to also teach others, perhaps, to do good YouTube contents. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
William, you like to say something?
Yes, I think that is excellent. Dr. Haas can talk about how to be an exciting YouTuber, but promoting STEM. That will be another interesting topic. Thank you so much for your participation today, and also Dr. Srita, and of course Captain Kanana. Glad you're here.
Yes. Dr. Srita, you like to say something, in concluding this session?
Sure. So first of all, yeah, thank you for the organizers and for the opportunity. Thanks for Dr. Hasbullah to take his time, prepare the material, and deliver this talk. And for the audience in the group, school students, whatnot, just want to reiterate what Dr. Hasbullah said. Follow your passion. STEM is an exciting area which gives a lot of opportunity going forward. But of course, first comes your passion. Passion must be there. And on that context, Dr. Hasbullah is a very young lecturer. He's a role model for all of you to follow. From how, from school and how he ventured into science, and eventually now he's an engineer, he's a technologist, and he's also a YouTuber, which fits all the boxes for all the young kids, going forward into the future. So I hope all of you take some note out of today, and hopefully it inspired you at least a bit to actually take up and follow through. That's important. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Srita. I think so. There is a few good takeaways that we have gained. One is that to reach out to the youngsters, we need young people like you, Dr. Srita. You're also very, very young, and of course, Hasbullah. So we I think you can speak their language better. You can tickle them better, and they are more. Especially if you're a YouTuber, I think. So we definitely like to use you both to see how we can reach out to more students, to entice them to follow our future groups. I mean, our future programs, as an influencer, a social media influencer. I think we'll discuss later offline how we can do that. Another point that I would like to also suggest is that maybe after this lockdown, many months ahead, or after things are back to normal, perhaps we can also organize a visit, a study tour to your center, the low carbon center, right?
You're always welcome.
That will be very good, especially for technical students or school leavers, So, we have done some of these study tours, and I can tell you every time there's a study tour, they all appreciate very much. They're so very pleased because they get to see something new and they've never seen it for the first time. They're looking at it and they're asking very good questions. We have made visits to Technology Park. We have made visits to the nuclear agency. So we are hoping that we can have more institutions that will welcome students, to do a study tour. So that's something that we should also explore later. All right.
Hello, happy.
Yeah, Mr. Ramesh, can I say something?
Oh yes, Captain, please.
Yeah, maybe is it possible to link that Dr. Hasbullah's YouTube link into the STEM website that you all have?
We'll be very happy, but the
if, with his permission, of course, because I think he have a lot of information in his YouTube.
If, of course, with Dr. Hasbullah's kind consent, we can. But on the technicalities, I have to ask our team, especially Daryl, how this link can be made. So if Dr. Hasbullah has got no objection, then we'll definitely be happy to link.
Yeah, because as far as I know, this center that both of them are running, the low carbon, probably one of the advanced in the world also. Is that right? I think in a way some of the research which are actually leading research in the world. So the students and even not only the lower secondary school, or even the higher secondary and all that, if they can have an opportunity to visit that, it's a big plus point for them, because the research that they're doing is really very advanced. Yeah,
fantastic.
Thank you, and we are happy to to work towards that.
Great. So we got to thank Captain Kannan also for making this session possible, and all the past 2 sessions and the coming sessions for August. I think this is one of the very exciting way to keep our students engaged, and I like your thought that it has to be industry led, because they have a lot of academic exposure, right? So if we can expose them to the industries and what's the real life situation out there, then that's our role. We can make that happen. All right. So William, anything else before maybe you would like to do the closing?
Thank you very much once again to all our 2 speakers, Captain Kannan and I think we will stop recording now. So thank you everyone who has come and visited us. Please keep in touch with us through our Facebook page, and we have a lot of new webinars coming up in the month of August. Please stay in touch. So that's it. I'd like to say thank you and goodbye.